Good morning. It's July 18th or 19th or something, 2025. It's cloudy, so I'm just going to walk around a little bit and get a look at things. I'm going to keep trying to hammer home the point. There's going to be a direct point to this video, and it's could be entitled Looking for Self-Similarity. It's very useful to seek self-similarity, and you do that by studying the golden ratio, because it's a proportionality. Again, a ratio can be expressed in terms of proportions, and so when you look at a special isosceles triangle, the golden triangle, it's the only geometric shape that if you were to take a little piece of corner of the triangle and cut a line, like, and you just cut that little corner off, so you have a baby triangle here in the corner. Just draw one little line. That triangle, if you cut it at the right spot, is exactly the same proportions as the entire triangle that it was cut from. And there's no other shape, there's no other geometry that can do that expresses the same proportionality, the same angles. All three angles of that triangle, that baby triangle, are the same. I used to know the angles in 37, 87, 87, and 30. Anyway, and what makes that special, is that we observe that phenomena, that ratio, that proportionality in nature. It's all over the place. All over the place. Like when you calculate load for voltage and stuff like that, electricity, storms, just everything. And the golden ratio, it creates a vortex, like a logarithmic spiral. It creates vortices, or like a hurricane, a storm pattern, a spiral, a perfect spiral. And that's how nature, from since we observe it everywhere, it seems to be that's the reason they call that God's geometry. That's the secret of the Pythagoreans, and it's a big deal. It's not just a neat little thing in mathematics, because we learned about this in school when I was a kid in math, but they didn't. It was just a neat significance, a pretty shape, just, beautiful. Oh, isn't it nifty? It's but it's more than that. And because everything's reflected, and so you call that self-similarity, like that little baby triangle with the same proportions as the entire triangle. That's the smaller the baby triangle is self-similar to the whole triangle. And there's nothing else like it. We see it everywhere. So the assumption is that everything comes into being along that geometry. And why? Because it's eternal. Like, it keeps on going forever. You can do that. That perfection is incommensurable. Because it's limitless. If with self-similarity, that means it keeps on going forever. There's no, like a square, any other shape is going to give framework. But it's almost like that special framework of the geometry, the golden ratio, is almost like anti-framework. It's almost like it doesn't have any form, because it just goes on forever. So there's no starting point. That's what I'm trying to say. There's no starting point. There's no ending point. And that's what makes it eternal. because time doesn't exist anyway. And that's why we're all so fucked up and confused, because we think time is a fabric in space and like an XY coordinate, and you can time travel, and we think that our physics is designed to make us insane. Unfortunately, I can. That's my hypothesis. That's my theory. I mean, what else could it be? We're designed. We think it's this world based on scarcity. It's a world of complete abundance, where things come into being from the eternal, from the non-material. And okay, here's what makes it useful. Because we see the golden ratio everywhere, that means, when I was saying everything comes into, like a hurricane, you can call that a field, like a magnet. A magnetic field actually is like a storm, very much like a storm. I mean, like storm, you see it's two things bumping up and can't speak, y'all, I'm sorry. I know I'm half retarded. I got marbles in my mouth and all that, head injuries. But, you see the winds, it looks like a magnetic field. A storm does. Whenever they show like a picture of how the air comes down and up, and it's hot air and cold air coming together, and everything, you see it everywhere. So you see self-similarity everywhere. You learn to identify the field or the storm. Like our bodies have a magnetic field. We're like a hurricane. We're a storm. So there's two things bumping up and together. God, there's cobwebs and all that stuff. And a relationship, anything, the way we experience life, like we think time is linear, but I mean, we all agree that as we get older, time seems to speed up, because it does speed up. It's like, because we experience everything in terms of fields. Time, for example, time. As we get older, it speeds up, just like a hurricane, or like circling a drain, toilet bowl, right? As we get older, it speeds up. It's not linear, and everything's that way. If you're having problems with your spouse and you're avoiding that thing, and you sit at dinner and you talk about everything but, and if you even brush up against the subject, your spouse won't have it. They're avoiding it completely. It's like running from the storm, and you're on an island, and the storm's coming, and you want to take shelter. So, the eye of the wall is coming. That's where the peace is. And it's the storm's at its most vicious right before the peace is. And so that's why it's like you want to get through those problems with your spouse, because on the other side of it is peace. These analogies aren't perfect, but like the relationships are, they are. It's not an analogy. I was using the island or whatever, but like the fact is the peace is on the other side of whatever it is that we're afraid of, because we all know it's like, I don't want to get into a long discussion about fear and desire and all that stuff, but the point is let's see, what's another example? Time, our relationships. One's physical, conceptual, and the other is real, like in our relationship. But what else? I need to start writing these examples down. I think of them all the time. I'm only now starting to get to understand these things, but like hype and like anything, literally everything, any idea, anything spoken of, and anything in the material world can be is some aspect of some kind of field, whether it's a physical field or spiritual fuel. Like in the relationships, that's a spiritual field, and the pieces that center in the storm. So, and it helps knowing that. So you see the framework of your situation with your loved one that you're having problems with. You see the big picture, and you're able, that's disassociation. You're coming out of your own perspective and to see the big picture. And that's useful. It's the most useful thing anybody can ever tell you, and it's true. And I can't believe I'm the one saying it. And it's been around forever. I mean, this is the secret of the Pythagoreans, and the Holy Trinity and everything that Jesus taught. I'm pretty sure the origin, I think Jesus was like a Pythagorean, y'all. And I mean, I went to Catholic school. I spent years with the Jesuits, and they taught me a lot. And I remember, I mean, they don't know everything. Some of them do. That's a whole nother video too. But, religion's downstream from philosophy. Like I was saying yesterday, it's like, religion would tell you to turn the other cheek, or Christianity will. But philosophy, Pythagoreanism, will teach you why it's important to turn the other cheek. Correction, Pythagoreanism will teach you sometimes why it's important, most oftentimes why it's important to turn the other cheek. And so anyway, I was in school, and I remember learning how they codified the Bible in like 523, the Council of Nicaea. It's 500 years after Jesus, who never wrote anything down. Why these guys never write anything down? Pythagoras, he didn't either. But Pythagoras said he got it from, I think the sun's coming out. He got it. It was old when he got it. And Pythagoras was like 500 years before Christ. The Bible came 500 years after. Oh, yeah. Boom. Hey, good morning. You learn to see self-similarity in all things. Everything's a field. The sun is a field. And the way fields work is immaterial. It's not like any pellets, little droplets of water, photons, light photons, as far as particles are concerned, coming into my eyes. That's not how fields work. It's vibration. So we have to learn to identify the structure, the framework of a field, and then the mechanism by how it works. And it's been, Ken Wheeler's put this stuff together. It's the devil, y'all, trying to make it rain. Devil's making it rain. We all know. 13 minutes, 7 more minutes. Well, I think that's probably enough for now, to tell the truth. And we'll just be quiet and look at the rain sign. I don't know if I had this camera turned up, straight up or sideways. I'd rather have it turned sideways, but oops. Yeah. When we find self-similarity, we learn to identify the patterns. Yeah, it's a pattern. It's pattern recognition. You can it'll seem to other people like you're psychic. But you're not. You just learn to recognize the storm, which way it's going, how it's moving. And, it's like, they talk about the tipping point. Put straws on something, and eventually it gets heavier and heavier and heavier, and then it breaks. Well, that's just like the way it's logarithmic, like a storm. The closer you get to the center of the storm, the winds get heavier. What about the 80-20 rule in nature? What was the Italian gardener, I forget his name, that noticed in nature how it seemed like 20% always had 80% of the resources? And that's logarithmic. That's the shape of a storm. That's golden ratio stuff, y'all. The way things grow. Our lives, it's everywhere. Everything has it. So you just got to learn to see it and make it work to your advantage. So, all right. Much love. Peace out. Talk to y'all later. Yeah, you're right. You're right about it.